Hello, Nova Real producers. This is Kristen Brindley, your publisher. I'm here with legendary Lilian Jorgenson. And thank you. Thank you for being our June cover. She was our very first cover. And here it is right here. And we are in her gorgeous home doing this podcast, our very first Nova Real Producers podcast. And Lilian is a legend in the business. She's been around 33 years in the business. $1.5 million. No, $billion.
$billion.
$1.5 billion in real estate sold over the last 33 years. In 2015, 16, and 17 was top 200 in the nation. Lilian did $65 million in business last year on her own, just with a couple of assistants. She was the only selling agent on the team. So it's an honor to be here with her. And you know, Lilian, please tell us your story. So coming from Denmark and meeting your husband, getting into real estate, tell us about that.
Yes. I met my husband in London, and meeting him got me to America. I was working for a Danish company in Selfridges in London, representing Plumrose. And one day this handsome gentleman came over to the food department to visit and to shop some of my products. And we had a really nice meeting, and then I thought, well, I'm not going to see him anymore. And then he came back to visit several times and wanted to, of course, invite me out for a date, which took a little while because we don't go out right away. But eventually, on a foggy day in London town in June 1960, we met, and our first date was in September 1960. So I came to America in 62, and Alan was a fighter pilot in the Marine Corps, and my first arrival in America was Cherry Point, North Carolina. I had never seen so much heat and so many trailers and so many little houses in my life coming from metropolitan Denmark, and but it was very exciting, and that was my arrival in America.
Can you tell us a little bit about about your dad? And I'd love to see, you had a couple photos, and
Well, we have this lovely picture of my dad and all his winnings. He was a runner, a sprinter, and very energetic, and his specialty was 1,500 meters and 1,200 meters, and a fantastic businessman. And I think I have his energy and his spark for life and wanting to win in everything I do from my dad.
That's great.
I have another picture. If you can imagine, my husband, when he first met me, had the presence to take a picture of me. I'm standing here under the sign, Danish meat delicacies. And of course that can be a joke in many ways, but we had preserved this picture for so many years and had it blown up here. And that was our first meeting in 1960.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Yeah.
So tell us about your story with when you came over and then deciding to do real estate. Why did you choose real estate?
Well, it took a few years to get into real estate, but 34 years ago, approximately, we went to a Christmas party. And my husband's colleague's wife just passed a real estate exam. And she was a lovely woman with 7 children. And I looked at her and I said, if you can do it, I can do it too. I guess it just kind of, wow, that's amazing. This is what I want to do. I've always liked sales and have been wanting to do something in real estate. But having small children, it was really not feasible. I believed you really have to have the time to put it in. But it inspired me, and I went straight up to the company that gave classes. It was called youre at Tyson's Corner. They're no longer in business. And signed up for the course. Went to school every weekend. I was at that time a senior teacher in the State Department teaching Danish. Had been there for 13 years, and that was a wonderful job. It was time for a change. And loved it more and more. Week by week, I knew this is what I was going to do. And that August, I signed up with a company that no longer is in business, Shannon and Lux and McLean, and I started in real estate August 1985, and the rest is history.
So Tell us your biggest challenge as a new realtor, or even now as a realtor.
Well, it actually, when you think about it, is where to begin, what to do. You have really no idea. And I think 33 years ago, it was even more difficult. And you were a little bit more on your own than you are today, with all the classes and all the help that you seem to get. So I think the very important thing was how to find clients and how do you do it. And I knew you just had to work for it. And I got my clients in many different ways. And one of them was even putting flyers on the cars in a parking lot, advertising my listings. My very first listing I got by name, wearing my name tag. And I was shopping in Neiman Marcus, and the salesperson said, "Oh, you're a realtor?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, my friend has an apartment to sell. I'm going to give him your name." And that was my first contact, and I was really nervous. It was at Mont Eagle in Alexandria on Highway 1. I went and had to sell myself to this first client. How do I do this? But it went very well, and I got the listing.
and then you were off.
I was off, yeah. And there are many different ways of getting the business. One of the things you need to learn is look at everything as a possibility. You look at a little house sitting on acreage, and you learn to think, what can I do with that? And I have done a lot of land development, a lot of land sales, and looking in the tax records to see what is the zoning. Yes, the zoning is 1 house per acre, and here you have a house sitting on 15 acres. And so you start to learn that you should get in, just look at all possibilities. In one instance, it took me 6 months of driving down the driveway to a little house and put my business card in the screen porch door. Nobody ever opened the door. But one day, the owner came to the door, and she said, "Well, I think it's time I answer the door. I've gotten your cards all these months," and she invited me in. And that was the beginning of a very special friendship. And the first thing she did was to bring me a stack of letters that she had received from lots of realtors wanting to sell her land, but she didn't trust anybody. She was in her late 70s and alone. And I had to win her confidence and talk to her, and I visited her every week for the rest of her life. And after months, a year, she decided she would like to move into McLean from Spring Hill Road in McLean, and I helped her get a little house in McLean, and we listed her land, and I also, as soon as I had the listing, I sold it also to a builder. And that was my first tract of land sale that I had, and it was very rewarding. She became part of our family and spent Christmases with us, and we were the ones that held her hand when she passed away. She didn't have anybody, so it was very special to really be able to do something. And I think in this business, that is something you can do that nobody else can do. But you have to be sincere, and it has to be who you are to really understand how you can help. And it's hard to say in which direction your life will go. I had a different scenario of a client who called me and said, "I have an investment home in Fairfax, and I really want to sell it." I went over to visit. It was on 1.25 acre. And I knocked on the door, and the tenants let me in. There were 6 guys living in that house. And I walked past the bathroom, and all the kitchen cabinets were in the bathtub. And the whole thing was just a mess, and I just stood there for about 30 seconds and said, "Hello, nice to see you, and thank you very much. I think I've seen enough," and then I left. Went out in my car, and I sat and looked. There was a house next door, exactly the same land acreage. And I decided if I could get the neighbor to sell, I would have 2.5 acres of land, and we could do something with that. And knocked on the door and tried to say that I would really like to sell their house. And they said, "My house is not for sale." And I said, "Can I come in?" And she invited me in. And after about half an hour, they had agreed to sell the house. I had agreed that we would name the street after them and the subdivision after them, and we would build them a custom home in return for the land. And they agreed. And I got out to my car and I called my builder and I said, I've got 2.5 acres for you. The zoning is we can do 11 or 12 houses there. And do you want to buy it? Because if you don't, I call the next one. And he said, yes. And the rest is history. And we developed it, designed all the houses, and I sold all the houses. So that's very exciting when you can do that.
That's amazing. Thinking with opportunity in mind. Always opportunity in mind.
Yes, always. It's not just a house. It's like, what can you do? Because every day when you get up and go to work, you have an opportunity. But sometimes you have to look for it. It's not handed to you. You have to think what you can do. And drive different ways every day so you can learn new things. Don't go the same route to the office every day. You need to know the neighborhoods. And I think knowing the inventory, that is very important. And I have sold houses in all of Northern Virginia, all the way down to Quantico, Fredericksburg, in Loudoun County, Alexandria, Mount Vernon. You need to know what the houses are, the price ranges, designs and styles, and knowledge is the primary in the industry. If you know what you're doing, you can do a good job. And you owe it to your clients to know, because they count on you. They count on your expertise when they hire you. And selling a home, they're trusting you with the biggest assets that they have.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
What has been the most rewarding part of your business?
The most rewarding, I really think it is take on the task, whatever it might be, and then you succeed. And then you can help others as well. And helping the family, helping the children is very rewarding, and teaching them what you do in life and how important it is, what you do, and try and show that too to the children. My son is in the business and doing very well. And when he started, he was telling me he didn't want to work on weekends. He was not going to work on weekends. He was going to take the weekends off. Well, guess who is working every weekend?
So tell us about your family.
Well, our family consists of a little family of 4. We have 2 children. Our daughter Janet is in California, and out there she has an 11-year-old little boy. And my son and Corinne here, they have twins that are 10 years old. And my daughter-in-law is from France, and the children go to Paris every summer, and it's a wonderful thing. They're totally bilingual. And that is something you can't pay for, and it's very exciting. And our grandson in California is a very brave young man. He flies out here on his own for spring break and for winter break, gets on the plane and comes to visit. He's very interested in music, a wonderful piano player, and baseball.
No, that's wonderful.
Yeah. And the twins here are playing soccer, and they are the fastest. They take after my father. They run. So they're they're the fastest boys on the field. So that's fun. Yeah.
What sets you apart, Lilian, and what makes you different?
Well, it's hard to say. Tenacity, do the job and realize, really, if it is to be, it's up to me. I have to do it. I have to get up and make it happen. And I do make it happen. And I do business by the golden rule, and it really is the only thing to do. So maybe that is very special. I take it very seriously. But then I love what I do. And I don't mind working. It's really not work. It's a lifestyle. And yes, I have a lot of hours that I work, but we also have quality time. I don't really need quantity time in life. I think enjoying whatever you're doing.
Your feet are wherever you are, your feet are at, and you're enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah. So one of the biggest excitements right now is I'm part of a big project going to happen at Tyson's Corner. It is a real challenge, and I can't wait to get started. I got a call about a year ago from the developer to come to his office and take a look at his project, and brought me in, and what did I think about everything, and have been part of the group ever since. And we're hoping next year things are going to develop and happen, and all the challenges of getting, condos sold, a hotel sold, and all of that is coming in the next year, and that's going to be really exciting.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's going to be real fun.
What would you like to be remembered for, Lilian?
I would like to be remembered as someone who did the right thing all the time, every day. I did the right thing for my family. I did the right thing for the clients and for everyone I get in contact with. Be honest. I think that's the most important thing.
Do you have any favorite quotes or books, movies?
No, not really, except my biggest line is, if it is to be, it's up to me, because only you can make it happen. You can't just sit there and wait for people to give anything to you or tell you what to do. You have to get up, get on the road, you have to make the phone calls, you have to follow through, and you have to do it with grace and with happiness and with sincerity. And I think that's the most important thing.
Do you have any advice for someone starting out in real estate, or someone brand new that possibly is joining a team or is just starting brand new?
I do. I think, first of all, you have got to decide if you love what you're about to do. Because without the love and respect, you're never going to make it. And the second thing is, if you're not willing to work hard, you're not going to make it either. And then you're going to stick with it. I think it's important that you, as a new agent, you also go to the office. I know in this world of technology and home offices and everything, you don't need to be in the office, but you learn a lot by being near agents that are doing business. Be there to get clients if the agent can't handle them. Can you take these people for me this afternoon? You learn about financing, you learn what's going on, and you hear stories about what's happening to the agents. And I think the knowing the inventory, you really have to go and preview the inventory, go to open houses. You want to be the agent that if you have a buyer that says to you, we can afford $350,000, and where can I go? You got to be able to say, I can take you to Cascades in Sterling for a small townhouse. I can take you to Manassas for a single family home, Rambler with a 2-level for that price range. Or I can take you over to Kingstown, but it'll be a little more expensive there. You got to know, and without knowing the inventory, you don't know where to go. And the only way you're going to know the inventory is to get out, look at the open houses, go on tour, and plan to see some neighborhoods over and over again. And this is going to take years. This does not happen in 6 months or in 1 month or in 1 year. You have to keep doing it over and over again. And then in 5 years, you're going to start getting feedback, and business is going to come to you a little easier. But this is a career. And I'm getting calls now from clients that I sold a house to 30 years ago. Haven't talked to them in 30 years, although I stayed in touch. And they call up and say, we're ready to sell our house. Can you come over and list the house? I mean, and the minute they say the name, and I said, hello, how are you? And they say, do you remember me? And I said, of course I do. And I go on telling them, and then children's names and where they live. And it's just, I have a photographic memory, so I'm lucky. I remember. And you want to get to that point where you have to remember everything.
Lilian will literally, say an address like it's no big deal all the time. He just knows addresses too. Yeah. Lilian, can you tell us a fun or hilarious story, like something that happened either with a client or another realtor, or just a fun story?
Well, I do have, something came to mind this morning I was thinking of. As I was in the mood as a young new agent in finding more business, I was always looking for land and how to sell it to developers and how to do different things. And I found a piece of land on Lee Highway across from the asphalt company. And I contacted the people out there. There was this little house sitting on acreage, and I thought it would be really, really great to sell that house. And I went out to meet with them. And it turned out that they were hoarders. And there must have been 1,000 Cabbage Patch dolls in the house. You could hardly get your way through. But anyway, they did want to sell. But it had to be by appointment only because we have a snake in the basement. And I want to make sure that I'm here when you show the house. And I said, my God, why do you have a snake in the basement? She said, oh, to catch the mice and anything that comes in. And it's a huge snake. And would you like to see? And I said, oh, no, thank you. I don't need to go in the basement. And I never succeeded in selling the property because nobody wanted to live next to. I had a very noisy, like a shooting, testing, fireworks or whatever up the road, and it was always very noisy.
A shooting range?
Yeah, something like that. And it never came to fruition, but it was kind of strange.
That is absolutely
having a snake in the basement.
You want to see the snake?
It was living with the family. Yeah.
Coexisting.
Yeah, going.
So what does your husband say about you?
Well, if you want to know the truth, he always says he loves me. And that's how I get out the door every day. And I think that's the most important thing in life. You know you have someone at home that's on your side. And then he likes to say that I'm really not human, I'm more like an alien. And I said, well, why is that? And he says, well, you can do everything. And you do everything with a smile, and you care for everybody, and you're just not human because you can keep working and working and working every day, and you get up with the same energy, and there's no one like that can do that every day for 33 years. So we have our little laugh and our little smile, and so that's what he classifies me as, an alien.
Didn't you just have an anniversary too?
We did. We've been married for 56 years and being married to each other for 56 years, which is really exciting. It's a little sad to think you're coming toward the end of your life in some ways. And I'm being asked, well, when are you going to retire? And I said, never. I'm just going to keep doing this as long as I can because I think you age illness by illness, but it has nothing to do with your age. It's just a number. And I feel very blessed also because I've gone through a lot of personal in my life. I've had 13 surgeries. I have been fighting 2 cancers. And I'm showing that you can do anything you want in spite of being sick. I will also tell you I have a colostomy I have lived with for 40 years. And no one really knows, and it doesn't matter. I'm happy to share the story, and anybody else I can help, because it shows that you can do what you want to do, and the glass is always half full. It's never half empty. And I decided back then in my 30s that I was not going to have it run me. I was going to run it. And I eat everything and anything I like and don't even worry about it. The only thing I have to do is change the bag every day, and that's okay. I'm still here.
Still here. Well, Lilian, it has been an absolute honor and pleasure hanging out with you. Yeah.
And, it was nice to share something a little personal because, we all have something that's personal. And I think the Asians, the ones that are struggling and they're sick or trying to make it, you can make it, but you have to have the will to get up and do it. But you can do it, and don't let anything stand in your way. You don't have to.
You have a choice.
Yes, you do.
If you could have a superpower, what superpower would you have?
If I had the superpower, I would wish that everyone would have respect for each other, cherish each other, tell each other I love you, respect each other. Life is too short. And you really shouldn't waste any time being mad, being upset, being angry over anything out there, because you can make a difference because it is up to you. to make a difference. And if I had that superpower, I think the world would be a better place. And again, I have to go back to my husband. I will have these sayings, and he'll say, if you rule the world, it would be a better place. But I'm not. But I wish we could all just have a little more respect for each other, no matter who we are or where we are.
Well, Real Producers, you heard it here with Lilian Jorgenson, our cover, and our amazing lady. You've heard it from Nova Real Producers.